Saturday, November 26th is a huge night of racing at the Meadowlands with a 6:20 post time. There's 8 big stakes races on the card. We're going to take a look at 4 of them that make part of a $75,000 guaranteed pick 4. There's 2 of those on the card, one in race 6, one in race 10. We're going to look at the one in race number 6 and jump right into the action with the TVG Mare's Final on the trot. We only have 6 horses in here, but 3 of them are maybe all-time great trotting mares, Matt.
Yeah, I tell you, for a 6-horse field, and realistically, 3 horses that can contend here for the top spot. This is a great matchup between 3 very familiar names in Bella Bellini, Atlanta, and When Doves Cry. I mean, you can make a solid case for any one of those 3 to come out on top, and I mean, they won't be that far off in the wagering, I don't think. I think the morning line has it pretty close, and this is just a tremendous matchup, and one we've enjoyed watching these mares for years, and Saturday night is no exception.
For me, on paper, when I look at this race, it's a small field, so I try to figure out how the race is going to play out on the track, and I'm thinking Atlanta and When Doves Cry leaves, and When Doves Cry is on the lead with Atlanta in the pocket, Bella Bellini third, and her coming first up. That being said, I think we've seen this before where Bella Bellini can come first up and beat these horses, and I'm thinking she's the one to beat, though I do fear Atlanta a lot in her last career start, but more so because I think she might be sitting in the pocket, and she's proven to be great when she's sitting off cover.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only major question here is ultimately who will be cutting the mile between Atlanta and When Doves Cry. The 3 outside horses, and any one of those 3 are capable of leaving and maybe clearing the front at some point. But you have to imagine that Atlanta and When Doves Cry will be controlling the action at some point with, like you said, Bella Bellini, right in behind, and possibly first up. I am in agreement with you with Bella Bellini that I think once she's out and grinding and has a target, so to speak, she can keep coming and she can edge by. I'd love to see Atlanta win in her final start. That would be kind of cool. But I gotta give the narrow edge to Bella Bellini. But I'm not going to key her. I'm going to use 2/3 of this 3-headed monster and not use When Doves Cry. So take that into consideration and go 1 and 2, but probably extra tickets with Bella Bellini.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I went Bella Bellini as my top pick, but I also use Atlanta. I could see anyone keying Bella Bellini here, but I ended up going too deep, and we're going to move on to race number 7. It's the $428,000 3 Diamonds Final, and there was an elimination last week for this race, and before we even talk about all the horses here, I want to take a look at that video of the elimination win by Zenata and really point out a horse that's right now about 5th or 6th, and that's a Strong Poison, who has Yannick Giwner on the bike. That horse was parked every step of the mile and raced pretty well considering.
Yeah, that was a long trip. She was out the whole way, and you can see, pacing home steadily behind the surprise winner in Zenata for the Jen Bondrono Bardan Dubé with a big money drive here. Added Lasix. You don't see that many 2-year-olds on Lasix, but I guess it is late in the season, so she's a little, 2 years old and in a few months. Listen, this is this shapes up, as you can see by the morning line. There's no real standouts. This shapes up as a pretty strong field with multiple options here, and I have a feeling in this pick 4 sequence, this is the leg there where most people playing this are going to try to look for a price, or obviously the most spreadable leg. So I did go 5 deep, but I agree with you. Strong Poison. I think she will be the favorite come post time, but not a strong favorite. You saw that close, really? And now she's. Yeah, I think she will end up being the favorite over Bellissimo Hanover. I mean, there's no strong standout odds-on favorite in this race, obviously. Who do you think is going off the favorite here?
I think hands down Bellissimo Hanover is the favorite and the horse to beat by far. I think Strong Poison
Really?
has a big shot, and she's my top pick here. But I really think Belissa Hanover is going to take the money and is the one to beat here. But you know what? Since we're both, well, I went three deep. I used Belissa Hanover, Strong Poison, and another horse, which I'll talk about in a second. Why don't you talk about the one or two horses that maybe other people in here aren't going to be the favorites and that you like?
Well, you see, Earth, Wind, Fire. There was some talk about Tim Tetrick sitting in the pocket behind a very slow pace in the homegrown race at the Meadowlands. And you can see her last handful of starts, she's odds on. She was 5 cents on the dollar, losing at 5 cents on the dollar, losing at 30 cents on the dollar. Now, obviously, you're going to get a much, much bigger price, on a quality filly from the Brett Pelling barn. 10 hole is difficult, but you know what? That's where you're going to get 5, 6, 7 to 1 maybe in this horse. And you know what? If you went down with at 1 to 9, 5 or 6 to 1 is very tempting. On what I would imagine would be a much more aggressive drive by Tim Tetrick. Vivian's Dream is quite accomplished, and Brian Sears is aboard once again. Got to figure that she's going to be forwardly placed. She was the matron winner, and she was okay in the Three Diamonds elimination. Not that strong of a kick, but held the ground decently. And I mean, Diamonds and Pearls, Dexter Dunn, Nancy Tactor could be poised for a big night. Wouldn't shock me, but I'm in agreement that the public's going to look inside. Belissa Hanover, Strong Poison, and the elimination winner Zanata deserves some respect.
Well, my swing for the fences as my third horse in here is the 8 Hungry for Love. I think she closed pretty well last time from pretty far back, 25-4 final quarter. That was her first start in more than 4 weeks, so you can expect her to improve a little bit. She didn't do much in the Breeders' Crown, but if you go back to her Lexington form, she was pretty darn good, and actually won at 50 and change, which puts her right there with any of these horses. She's shown that she can leave or she can close from off the pace. I think at 20-1, there's worse long shots you could play, and we're going to move on to race number 8, which is the $330,000 TVG Open Final for the Trotters. And as you can see on the morning line here, Akiri D is the 7-5 early choice, despite maybe a not so, I don't know, a not so forwardly placed effort last time. Though I give him some of a break because he had post 7 and the 6 left inside of him.
Yeah, I mean, okay, you can, the excuse is always there. Oh, the horse, left, right, inside. So, I have to take back so and so. But we all saw what Akiri D did in the Breeders' Crown with Dexter Dunn aboard, and I think the key is Dexter Dunn is back driving for the Svanstead barn. And as much as I looked at this race and wanted to try to, find some value and beat Akiri D, I really couldn't come up with anything. I mean, I assume you can kind of just draw a line through that race last week, which was just a regular an overnight race, kind of like a prep, I suppose. I think he's gonna turn it around. I think you can see a much more aggressive effort, like we saw in the Breeders' Crown up at Mohawk, and I see Dexter Dunn taking command and. Really, although there is this is a quality field, obviously, I see him taking command and cruising home like he did in the Breeders' Crown. So he will be my key here in the pick 4. As much as I wanted to try to beat him, I just decided I think he's just going to end up being much the best, and I'll take the short price.
He's also my key in this race. In my mind, Akiri D is just better than the rest. He's better than the rest of these horses, and he's faster than the rest of these horses, at least right now. The only horse who I would feel like maybe this horse is as fast as him and can beat him is Jujubee, and I'm just not convinced Jujubee's at the top of his game right now. I mean, even last week where I thought the effort was better, it looked to me like he made a break after the wire, which concerns me because he's been making breaks in his races from time to time. Did in the Breeders' Crown just nearing the wire. So I don't know that I can go that way. I think It's Academic has certainly been really sharp, but this is a much tougher spot where I don't see him gaining control here. Back of the neck, he could rebound. I mean, we haven't seen him in a month. Svanset is certainly good at getting these horses ready off the bench, so maybe he comes back. But for me, Curie D is also the single. We're going to move on to race number 9, which is the TVG Mares Final on the Pace. And this is a really nice field. We got 10, fillies and mares here. Two of these are 3-year-olds, being Nikki Hill and Treacherous Dragon. Treacherous Dragon won the Breeders' Crown. Nikki Hill had a really tough trip second. I mean, unless you feel like Test of Faith can't lose here, because she's just the leader of the division, then you can go a lot of different ways.
Right. Test of Faith, despite losing, finishing second, come up a bit short in the Breeders' Crown final, she is the leader in this division still. And you're right, this race has made a different twist, so to speak, with the 2 3-year-olds in the race. As you mentioned, Nikki Hill and Treacherous Dragon. If you're okay with 3-year-old fillies facing their elders, obviously it's late in the season. Then obviously both of them are capable. But I think I'm going to go with the more mature, more accomplished mares, so to speak, and that is Test of Faith. And I'm also going to use the 5 Grace Hill. There's not really much I can add to what everyone has seen of Test of Faith. She is the one to beat, obviously, but Grace Hill is, without a lot of fanfare, she's had a solid season for the Virgil Morgan Jr. barn, and it would be a heck of a way to basically end her season winning this TVG Mares. But she kind of doesn't get the respect maybe that, or is not the biggest name out there, but she sure is capable. And this is a perfect mid-pack post where Tom McCarthy can basically choose whatever he wants, probably following Test of Faith at some point. And I'm gonna pick her on top, but I'm gonna use Test of Faith also, and those will be my 2.
These 3 horses actually, Test of Faith, Treacherous Dragon, and Grace Hill, those 3 actually competed in a qualifier. Why don't we take a look at that qualifier? I don't know that we're going to, glean too much from it, but they all raced very well and came home really strong after pretty slow fractions.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's hard to gauge in these qualifiers. They're going to walk with no movement in the race, and then it just comes down to basically, almost a quarter-mile sprint. So, all the horses that are stalking second, third, and fourth are supposed to be sharp and sprinting. And that's exactly all 3, what all 3 of them did. And honestly, it doesn't matter really who won and who didn't, in that race. Unless you see a horse maybe all out, and not responding, but that wasn't the case here. But obviously that, well prepped for the TVG Mares final. And I mean, is there anything else that you take out of that race, out of that qualifier that was won by the 3-year-old Treacherous Dragon? I mean, anything special you see in there that might, lead you in a certain direction? I mean, for me, not really. I'm going to stick with, I'm not going to use that qualifier basically as, a standard for me, making a selection here, so to speak.
The only thing I take away from that qualifier is all 3 horses are sharp and they're all ready to go. And, as well as Nikki Hill, who qualified in the one race later and raced really well in a 51 and change mile. It's interesting that Test of Faith is adding Lasix here tonight. I mean, she's been racing great all year long. She's 33 wins in 9 seconds in 43 starts. She's only been worse than second once in her career. I don't even know that she needs Lasix, but for whatever reason, Brett Pelling's a better trainer than I am, that's for sure. And I would imagine that David Miller's going to have her much closer to the action this week than in the Breeders' Crown. He's going to be maybe, let the dust settle and try to brush here, in her final start of the year. Might as well empty the tank and, get what you can get here. I like Grace Hill as well. She's been just super. I mean, my top pick is definitely Test of Faith. I'm not. If I had to pick a 3-year-old of the two, I would pick Nikki Hill over Treacherous Dragon. But I'm going to stay away from the 3-year-olds in this spot. And you can see my ticket up there is pretty reasonable. It's only $6 play. There's a lot of favorites in there, with the exception of the 8 and race 7. A lot of favorites in there, and maybe we do end up keying Bell Bellini. It becomes a $3 ticket. You could play it, 4 or 5 times, and it's still under $20. What do you got, Matt?
My ticket is only $10, and our last 2 legs look eerily similar. We both keyed Akiri DK, and we both eliminated the 3-year-olds and went Test of Faith and Grace Hill. The only difference is I spread a little bit more in race 7 and did not use your 20-1 long shot. Use a couple other prices. And to be honest, I mean, it's the first leg where, we talked about all 3 of those trotters that are going to split all the money, and take 99% of the, I guess, pick 4 action. It is tempting to just say, I don't even want to worry and just use 1, 2, 3 in that race. But like you said, it's there's not major value elsewhere, so I did scale it down. But we are very similar. Mine's a few more dollars. It's only $10.
The big question,
extra
Matt,
ticket. Yeah.
The big question is, if it comes in 1152, are you going to get your $10 back?
You always ask the big question. Yeah, it is going to pay, because I don't think Blitzen Hanover is an overwhelming favorite in the second leg. And I think that's a lot of spread money, so there'll be a lot of dead money after that leg. So I think there's more value than you think, coming out of this race 7.
Well, we have 8 big stakes races on the card. We have free PPs up on DRF.com/harness. You can get free PPs for the entire sequence. Also worth noting that there is a pretty big carryover at the Meadowlands on Friday night. I believe it's $32,000 in the pick 6, starts in race 8. So you want to get in on that $100,000 guaranteed pool. I'm sure we'll go over that as well. But 620, head out to the Meadowlands. And if you don't play the pick 4, then play the late pick 4 or play the pick 6, or check out Bulldog Hanover, the last start of Bulldog Hanover, last start of Atlanta too, but the last start for Bulldog Hanover's career. It's been a great year. You'll want to check that out. Good luck.